Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and guess what you're doing? You're watching The Political Vigilante. Yes, citizens of Gotham, you're finally educating yourself from the lies told you by the corporate media. Doesn't matter if it's Fox or MSNBC or CNN, you're going to lie. That's why you're here. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate that. And so one of the things those of you who might not know this, if you're new to the show, I lost my home to foreclosure in 2010. Thanks to Bush, but mainly Obama, giving the banks $1 trillion. Between the two of them, it was almost $2 trillion. And the banks deliberately scooped up, pushed me into foreclosure, and they did it to millions of other people. And that's why I was worried when the CARES Act was passed last year. I was like, uh-oh. They want these small businesses to go under, all this unemployment, and they gave all that trillions of dollars to Wall Street, 4.25 trillion to be exact. Wall Street and banks are scooping up. That's why they want this. Mom and pops are going out of business during this pandemic. And so these big corporate chains can scoop up. Who got all this stimulus money? Some of these big corporations got stimulus money and still laid employees off. So I've talked about how they did it. And this article in the New York Times talks about how they did it 10 years ago. And what happened was, and we'll get into the details here, they forced people into foreclosure and then bought homes and rented them. It's one of the reasons rents in like California have gone through the roof. So what happened after the housing crisis of 08 and went from 08, 09 into 2013, they were doing these scams, 24, whatever, they kept doing these scams. And I'm bringing this up because none of those people got prosecuted. None of that wealth got replaced. I lost my home. That was supposed to be my retirement. That's why I'm so big into crypto, because that's my chance. I played the rules by their way and they screwed me over. The system screwed me over. So now, but I want to show you what they did, 10 years ago, because they're doing it again. A 60 billion housing grab by Wall Street. Hundreds of thousands of single family homes are now in the hands of giant companies, squeezing renters for revenue and putting the American dream even further out of reach. It has fundamentally altered housing ecosystems in ways we're only now beginning to understand, fueling a housing recovery without a homeowner recovery. That was the other thing that was so infuriating about Bush and mainly Obama's stimulus. It didn't keep people in their homes. That's what the stimulus was supposed to do. That's why when I was like, oh man, I called my mortgage company. They said, oh, there's all this stimulus money. We're going to put you on a forbearance. They cut my mortgage payment in half. It was a 3-month forbearance. In that 3-month time, Graham, they told me, we're going to restructure your loan to get your monthly payment lower. And, I was like, fine, I'm not looking for, just restructure my loan. And then so I can have a lower monthly payment so I can stay in my home, which is what it was supposed to do. And I was like, oh, thank God. Obama got sworn in. His stimulus will be better. Bush's stimulus was awful. Hope and change is one's going to be better. At the end of the 3 months, they went, oh, you don't qualify. And now you're 3 months behind on mortgage. Wait, what? They did that to me 3 times. I became tens of thousands of dollars behind. There was nothing I could do. It was a scam. So they could buy my home. And One West Bank bought my mortgage from IndyMac Bank at 30 cents on the dollar. So kicking me out, forcing me into foreclosure, they made a profit because then they sold my home. And since they only paid 30% of the mortgage, they made a profit. What this article is showing is how big rental management companies bought up homes that were in foreclosure and then started renting them to people and jacking the rents up. That's affecting us now as we have people who are in some cases 9-10 months behind on rent because the pandemic shut down their work. Now, I don't have a problem with a lot of landlords are just small business owners. They're just people who own a couple rental properties and they need that money. But these big companies, I got no sympathy for them at all. Because they just scooped up homes in the crisis 10 years ago. And now they're looking to scoop up more. During one of the greatest recoveries of land value in the history of the country from 2010 to 2011, at the bottom of the crisis to now, we've seen huge gains in property values. Oh, that should be good for the American homeowner. Well, the American homeowner didn't make the profits. The big companies did. Shocker, I know. Many of whom were pushed out of the homeownership market during the crisis. That land value has accrued to these big companies and their shareholders. That's shocking. I thought America was all about helping out the working class and the regular people. This is why, America, we need to unite. We're in class warfare. They want us fighting with each other. Red state, blue state, Trump, Biden, you know what I mean? Black, white, male, female, baby boomer versus millennial, whatever. They want us fighting because they don't want us to see the real enemy is the 1% ruling class. The billionaire ruling class has been doing this to us. They took away homes. They took my home away and almost 6 million other homes. 6 million foreclosures is not 6 million people. It's 6 million families. Now, I don't have kids, but I was married at the time of my foreclosure. It affected 2 people. My wife was from another country at the time. We ended up getting divorced, and there's a lot of reasons why that happened, but going through foreclosure certainly didn't help. Before 2010, institutional landlords didn't exist in the single family rental market, meaning a home, a house. They rental companies existed in like buying big apartment complexes or whatever. Now there are 25 to 30 of them, according to Amherst Capital. So single family rental companies scooped up single family homes. That used to be the greatest way for average Americans, working class Americans, to acquire wealth. You got a decent little job. You bought a little house. It appreciated in value. You sold that house, moved into a better house in a better neighborhood. That appreciated in value. That's how the American dream that was a big part of it. Home ownership was a big part of the American dream. That's not a caste system in America. You can move up. You're born poor, but you work hard. You get a good job. You buy a little home. It appreciates in value. That was all taken away. It was all been taken away for decades. But really, the housing crash of 2008 and the subsequent scams, this being one of them, 2009, 2010, 2011, has evaporated the American dream. That's why all these bubbles and all these financial problems existed prior to COVID have only been exacerbated since you've had whole industry shut down for 10 months. From 2007 to 2011, 4.7 million households lost homes to foreclosure and 1 million more to short sale. That's why the total number is about 5.7. Some people estimate it's even closer to 6 million. My Homes is one of them. And I've met so many people doing this show have told me their story of losing their home, or their mom, or their dad's story, their aunt, or their grandmother, all these awful stories. All the stimulus money was given to the banks. It didn't make it to the hands of the American people. So when I saw the CARES Act last March or April, whenever it came out, and I saw the majority of the money go to Wall Street, I was like, they're going to do it again. The SBA loan, the small business loan, read the fine print. If you're paid $25,000 or more, your business is now leveraged. They can put a lien on it. That tells me it's another scam to scoop up all your small businesses. You know, you got a little coffee shop that you and your significant other run, and it's nice and it's cool. No, they want Starbucks to buy that. That's what's going to happen. Every street corner is just going to be TGI Fridays and whatever else. It's going to be no mom and pop businesses at all. Private equity firms develop new ways to secure credit, enabling them to leverage their equity and acquire an astonishing number of homes. They got all this free credit from the government mainly, and also the banks, to buy up all these short sale homes and all these foreclosed homes. Those We Buy Houses, those are big companies, and they're going to do it again. You're a couple months behind on your mortgage, 3, 5, 6 months behind on your mortgage because of COVID. We're going to buy your home. They're going to we'll save the day for you. Cash for keys. Remember that? I had to do that. Cash for keys. The housing crisis peaked in California first because the real estate in California, for the most part, is so valuable. That's why they wanted to kick me out of my home. I was in a very desirable neighborhood by the beach in Santa Monica. They knew that if they kicked me out, they could sell that home pretty quickly. I had some friends of mine who lived in a very overvalued neighborhood. And the stimulus money actually kept them in their home because these corrupt banks went, well, we can't profit off of this guy's foreclosure, so we'll let him stay in his home. My buddy stayed in his home. He ended up selling it. The market, when the market increased, he sold it, got into a nicer home. Him and his wife started having kids. The system worked for him. Didn't work for me and 6 million other people. Homes could be scooped up by the dozen in Phoenix, Atlanta, Vegas, Sacramento, Miami, Charlotte, LA, Denver. But after the crash, the unprecedented supply of cheap housing in good neighborhoods made corporate single-family home management feasible for the first time. Strategic is one of these companies, would buy the property, obtain possession, often by offering occupants the cash for keys. Again, you're behind on your mortgage, and they were like, you don't want a foreclosure on your credit report. Just sign the house over to us. You're behind. We'll just take it. We'll give you a couple grand. That's what I did. Because I could have just stayed in my home as a squatter, because now it wasn't my home anymore after foreclosure. But then I didn't want an eviction. They threw, we'll put an eviction on your credit report. Then you'll never be able to even get an apartment. A few $1,000s to move out as soon as possible. And I was going to stay in there for months. And they said, here's some money if you move out in 3 weeks. Got $8,000. That home I bought for $550 right now. Well, I don't know what it's now, but right before the pandemic, it was about $1.3 million is what that condo would be worth. Private equity firms chase double-digit returns within 10 years. To get that, they need credit. The more borrowed, the higher the returns. So when credit was tight after the financial crisis, right? The acquiring firms led by Blackstone. Now, this is also a company that they own a lot of single family. Their management company owns a lot of these single family homes that they rent out to people. Blackstone also paid money to lobby against a rent control law for single family homes. They lobbied against it. 2 years ago, they voted it down, but I'll just tell you in a second. This past November just got voted. Blackstone, another evil corporation, figured out a way to generate more of its by creating a new financial instrument, right? And so, having bought the bulk of foreclosed homes in certain desirable neighborhoods, many of which didn't have rental inventory before the crisis. So there wasn't a rental inventory in nice neighborhoods. So now there's a rental inventory. And who are they renting to? Couple, average age, 39, husband, wife, kid or two, making about $100,000 a year, which in Los Angeles that's middle class. The homes prices there are average home prices like $850,000. So $100,000 a year doesn't buy you much if that's your salary, but that's who they rented it to, because the prices were so high that even if you and your wife make $150,000 a year, you still can't afford to buy an $800,000 house. But you can rent one. That's nice. And they're doing it again. Little light at the end of the tunnel. California passed AB 1482, a measure that limits rent increases to 5% plus inflation for the next 10 years. For the first time in the state's history, this rental cap applies to single-family rentals owned by corporations or institutional investors. Blackstone tried to prevent that. Pay close attention, folks. The CARES Act was the single greatest upwards transfer of wealth since this housing thing from 10 years ago. So be careful. They want to come for your business. They want to come for your home. That's what they did. No new regulations got passed on a federal level. Obama didn't put anybody in jail. Bush didn't do anything. Neither of them did shit. Trump didn't do anything. These guys are all assholes. Iceland put bankers in jail. So don't trust these guys at all. They're horrible. And Biden's cabinet, first female secretary of treasurer and first person of color, this and that. Janet Yellen, secretary of treasury, first ever female secretary of treasurer, right? She's gotten $7 million in speaking fees from big banks. Whose side do you think she's going to land on with any sort of banking or mortgage regulation? Whose side do you think she's going to be? Citigroup, that's whose side, not your side. You got a family, you got kids, you got a husband, wife, kids, whatever, a dog and a cat. They don't give a shit. They're going to throw you on the street. They just want to turn you into a renter. Home ownership was the backbone of the American middle class. It's gone. They took it from us. Thanks for watching the show, everybody. I'm the political vigilante. I'm trying to make Gotham great again. And just by watching this show and not listening to the lies of the corporate media, and getting some vegan guns. Shave your knuckles for justice. Ba-boom. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.